applause for the young man. He's a rapper with a message, and that counts for a lot these days. Brother Lakim. First of all, let me say welcome. My name is Imhotep Gary Bryd. I do a broadcast over WLIB radio between 1 and 5 called the New GBE, the Global Black Experience. Thank you. On May 25th, 1963, 32 independent states of Africa formed the OAU, the Organization of African Unity, and they proclaimed African Liberation Day. It is often overlooked that 5 years before that, an All-African Peoples Conference was called in April of 1958 with a declaration of an All-African Peoples Day. And you know, if we go much further back, it is not difficult to locate and identify the leaders, the people, and the struggles for freedom in Africa to the very beginnings of the colonial experience. Today, May 26, marks 167 years since Denmark Vesey, a free African, and 9,000 African slaves were betrayed in their uprising against slavery here in the USA. That is today as we speak. This same date, May 26th, 1799, marks the birth of a man called the father of Russian literature, Alexander Pushkin, who was 23 years of age and well on his way in total defiance of any idea about the African mind somehow being inferior to that of other peoples anywhere in the world. Now, I point out these historical backdrops to our presence here today simply to say that we should make it very clear on this African Liberation Day that at no time in our history have we not planned and fought against the oppressive forces which have tried to keep us down as a people. At no time in our history have we not been able to rise to greatness in spite of the walls of prejudice that have greeted us wherever we found ourselves scattered or taken throughout the world. Today, the celebration of African Liberation Day is a day of solidarity with the remaining African states who are fighting for liberation from colonial or neo-colonial force. Brother Malcolm X perhaps said it best, El-Hajj Malik Shabazz, in the past, dark mankind was ruled by white mankind. This is a fact right up until today. Recent history, black, brown, red, and yellow man was ruled by the white man, which ultimately means European colonialism. That is what they called it. But in essence, European colonialism meant that the white man was ruling the black, brown, red, and yellow people of this earth, which is, in reality, white supremacy. Now, these same dark people who were ruled by the European minority were actually in the majority. And it means that in the past, the European minority, that is the white minority, was able to come together both by hook and crook to rule the dark majority by practicing a very simple thing. Again, remember, these are the words of Malcolm X. They practiced divide and conquer. The year was 1963 when African Liberation Day was being created. And Malcolm X in 1963 was saying that we must forget our differences. That any differences that we should have, we should take them behind the door. Any argument that we want to engage in among ourselves should be done behind the door. Instead, we need to present a common front against a common enemy. And the common enemy of black, brown, red, and yellow man is anyone standing in the way of our freedom. Anyone standing in the way of our freedom and our justice and our equality. Anyone who deprives the black man and black woman in America of civil rights is an enemy to the black man and black woman. Anyone who deprives us of our citizenship in America is our enemy. And when we as black people learn how to recognize the enemy, the common enemy, then we as a people can get together and become unified and harmonious and do whatever is necessary to solve our own problems. And Nkrumah himself said it very well. No part of Africa is an extension of Europe. Africa must unite. We come together today in the spirit of Africa. Some of us come from the north and south, or Midwest, or the west coast of America. Some of us come from islands all over the Caribbean. Some of us come from South America. Some of us come from Europe too. Some come directly from the continent that we call the motherland. But the beauty of the cultural connection is how many of us know today and embrace the reality and are proud to say that we are an African people. As Jesse says, we may have come over on different ships, but without question, we are in the same boat now. Frederick Douglass once said that the African had to speak with the front of his head rather than the back in order to achieve true victory. And what he meant was that our objective had to remain constant while we changed our means. We are here this evening because we are dealing with something that Dr. Molefi Asante called strategy. Now, a strategy is defined as a long-term plan for achieving an objective, while tactics are the science of arranging and managing the details of human behavior. We are here this evening on a mission. It is a cultural mission. In this particular instance, we take a look at it, and as overseas Africans, we have a keen sense of the need to reclaim the continent of Africa. It is a historical connection that we don't take lightly. We base it in Pan-African ideology. Africa can redeem itself. Of all the continents, Africa has often seemed the most disconcerted by its children, who have been scattered all over the globe. And a great part of this has had to do with the confusion of Africa's children worldwide. We come to you this evening with a message, and that is that we have to know today and remember that Africans on the continent were inspired by many different brothers and sisters from the Americas here, who helped in many ways to create the consciousness for liberation of our Africa. And today, in celebration of African Liberation Day, we must make, all of us here, a conscious decision. We must have a plan to be united and to work together in every way, from South Africa to North, East, and West Africa, from South Carolina to the south side of Chicago to Southern California, from South America to Costa Rica. And that commitment must be to bring Garvey's words to reality: Africa for the Africans, at home and abroad. Thank you. Well, first of all, may I say again, we welcome you to our Fashion Heritage Cultural Connection. We're going to be engaging in a crowning this evening that's going to deal with how some of our special queens have understood the reality of how our creativity and inspiration have influenced mankind, and also set the stage for our own rediscovery of who we are as a people, and the celebration of that discovery by some of the international designers who create not only in our image, but in our culture as well. We have a number of things planned for you through the course of the evening, but most of all, throughout it all, we invite you to get in touch with your Afrocentricity, get in touch with that spirit that is you, that spirit that comes together inside of our experience this evening. We'd like you to do something before we start, though, and I know that there are a number of brothers and sisters who have perhaps been waiting patiently for us to sort of get ready with the vibration. I'd like you to just hold hands for a few moments, because one of the things that we certainly want to do as African people is to celebrate our oneness. As you hold your hands, I want you to begin to feel the vibrations of Africa that are beginning to come from the stage in the background. Listen and feel. Brothers and sisters, welcome.
Alafia and peace. My name is Maxine McCrae, and I would like to bring to you the Monif African Dance Ensemble. We're here in Harlem, but as African Americans, we love to take a trip back to the continent. So I invite all of you who are from the continent, and those of you who are in America, to come back home with us to Africa!